Hi, friends. I guess I'm ready to look somewhat more human again. Um, I have fun messing around with the controls. It's a body. What's it look like? What is it? It's not you. It's not me. This is not who I am. Okay, so this is from 213. Gosh, is that only yesterday? Yeah, sure enough. And I don't know what the Mayan day is yet. Haven't looked it up. So, um, And before I start, I mean, those of you who are empaths will feel a strange energy here. I've been in really deep prayer for Mother Earth, and for us. We've had so much that's wrong done to us. We've had our environment and our bodies poisoned and polluted, our free will co-opted, and deceit and deceptive practices used left, right, and center. And so I'm asking to have all that rolled back as our consciousness is being raised. I see the quickest way to heal Mother Earth is to heal the species that's walking around upon her. And so if you'll join me, I think that would be really good. You see, um, going back and living by integrity and honor and truth and those beautiful things, not beating our brethren over the head with this kind of stuff, just living our own life this way can change the world. There's more than just a few of us waking up. And I was learning about the practices that go on in Japan where they were giving as an example Apple electronics, but it's not just Apple, it's just electronics. And the people, in order to get management's attention, I mean, you've heard of sit down strikes and starvation strikes. They're actually doing suicides and getting together mass suicides in order to get things to change. Well, folks, we can change things. The whole discussion in the news piece was about the laws there, the laws here, and what can be done and what can't, and how it's not politically, correct or to be expected that Obama or anyone else will smack Apple's hands for what they're doing. And again, Apple just as an example. Uh, we could change it all. You don't buy the stuff. And we have to be willing to sacrifice, or it's not real truth and it's not real integrity. It's not real honor if it's only when it's bright and sunny and easy to do. And so there's enough of us waking up now. We really can take the country and the world back by simply choosing to live in honor and integrity and to pray for one another in the earth. Um, and I always like to ask for all the missiles, bombs, and implements of war to be turned off, decommissioned, and otherwise put out of operating order. Okay, commercials over. Here's the journal. I don't know what to say here. I don't feel like the same person who last journaled here. Well, I do, but I don't. Identity is morphing again, or still. I don't know. More and more, that's what I can say about so many things. I don't know. Now, this isn't bad or negative in any way. It's just awkward at times, like when I try to carry on with some habit or other, such as journaling. I have to be sure it's okay with the new whoever I am first before I proceed. Do you understand? Do you see? And I no longer care if anyone can follow where I'm going. My eyes are less and less on others and more focused elsewhere. Focus. you guessed it, within. I'm not sure what I'm seeing here, but I do feel the self pulling more and more out of the world and its concerns. It came to me just yesterday or recently that I have no interest in anything at all in life, with one exception: these journals. There is quite literally nothing I give a damn about out there. Now, this is strange, for the body has relatives, even a grown child, but there is simply no concern, no visible attachment to any of that, nor to things in any way. The whole life has gone, or is going, within now. Now, lest someone think I'm claiming some sort of spiritual state or other, think again, or rather, look again, only from heart. What there is here is a mirror for you or for anyone. We're all the same. Actually, we're all non-existent, but that's another matter, another journal. We'll leave it alone for now. Now, things are piled on the being in layers. All we can do is work with what's visible, what is on top, what is in our now. Generally, though, when we deal with that, we'll at some point be led deeper within to find yet another instance of what we vanquished earlier, such as fear or distraction or whatever. So I'm aware that this is no final state of perfection. It seems that there are always more layers to help us stay humble. And that's fine. I mean, it just doesn't matter. The fact is that it is what it is, no more and no less, and that's just fine with me and all the rest of the truth seekers. I have no more desire to fight life, to argue with what is, as I find most of the rest of us doing every day, fighting with what is. How very strange for us to be in such a state. It will be nice once we regain full memory of all of our experience here, so that such things will fall into their right place and make heart sense again. Mind sense I'm less and less attached to every day. Logic is a pale and puny excuse for our higher state functioning and ways of understanding. It's a superficial thing which is useful for 3D, but that's all. Now, I don't know how to explain these things, or even if I can do that. And what is explaining, after all, but relating to or satisfying the mind? And how am I to relate to your mind when I can't relate to my own very well? Where does that leave me? And where does that leave these journals? I really don't know. Time will tell. What can one say from the emptiness within? What is to convey or communicate? I laugh a bit now when I look to her whose specialty in this life, taken quite seriously and joyfully too, is communication. Where is she now? And who is or was she? And yes, who am I? And why am I referring to her, Teresa, in third person? I don't know. There's 5 or 6 inches of snow outside everywhere. And yes, it's beautiful, but somehow it doesn't move me like before, like it once did. The bird feeders are sufficiently full, which is all I seem to care about. God, life is strange. Who am I indeed? Are you keeping track of you? There are strange noises in my ears. I've been hearing some higher pitched sounds for a while, but these are low frequency and pulsing somehow, irregular. I don't trust the government in any way not to be aiming their high-tech devices on us, their people. And we're not really theirs, you see. We are of a different lineage entirely from those controlling things behind the scenes, those who don't want us coming into our full range of abilities. Such a wide range of harm they seek to do, poor dears. And now a freezing rain has begun. I'm glad I don't have to go out for anything. It would make driving a mess. I'm also glad I'm not a bird or a deer or a coon right now. So nice to have warm comfort for the body. The things that make us rich, you know. In a way, we aren't really here in this land of illusion made to seem so very real. It's all methods and tricks of illusion that have made us believe in and dive so deeply into this grand drama. If it were not for all the poisons attacking our physicality from every direction, including vaccinations of babies only days old and continuing on from there, we would most likely already have shifted into a much higher vibration and levels of consciousness. Are you aware of that? Did you know we'd been held back? How do they work on us? Well, by grabbing our attention. Aside from all the various poisons like the GMO manipulations of our foods and chemtrails, fluoridated water, and on and on and on, their trick is to capture and keep our attention, to manipulate that, to guide and direct it where they want it to go. And it is to enrich, always to enrich them. Bet you can see that. Once you can see that, it becomes so natural to just deny them what they want. You stop paying attention where they want you to, and you stop believing everything they say. It's a very simple turning away that so many find ourselves doing. It's not like it even happens consciously either for many of us. We just find ourselves pulling away sort of after the fact. Then, when we've turned off the major tools that they use to insert the programming, the TV, the radio, the major media, and so on, we begin to purify. Our body-mind systems are designed to throw all toxins and poisons off naturally, and they would if they weren't constantly being overwhelmed. It gets to be too much for them, and you may find the self in depression over it all. It just gets to looking so overwhelming. The poor body just can't keep up with the endless stream of toxins. Well, imagine its joy when it finds that constant stream trickling down and being largely cut off. The body can finally begin to dig out from under all the weight and burden it's been bearing. It's a good thing. Some measure of sanity begins to return. We didn't even know we were a bit insane to be engaging those things that were constantly burdening us with the daily programming. And then we'd have rough nights trying to work our way through all the junk we took on during the day. Some sort of insanity indeed. But as long as we're in the forest, we don't see the trees. We just go on blindly, day to day, year to year, even lifetime to lifetime. This battle has been waging for probably thousands of years. There's evidence for it if we look, but who cares? I don't. It just doesn't matter once you are free of the bulk of the incoming garbage. It's so nice to be free. Who on earth wants to go delving into that mess anymore? Better to be just shut of it, as Grandma used to say. Touch anything having to do with them and look out, for you may be pulled back into the whole mess. That's how it's designed. Just know that what's in you is far greater than anything in this make-believe world, including whatever negative beings supposedly populate it. They and all of their ammo and strategies and plans are nothing next to who you and I really are. Keep going to heart, and you'll see and you'll sense this. This is a realm of calm power and peace that goes beyond words. You just know there is no way that you, the real you, who you are, can be harmed. I suppose it's all a game in a way. I don't know yet, not having fully come out of it myself. There is pretty much no one whom I trust for a guide anymore. And I don't count Papa G. He is no longer separate from me. So I have him as a resource in ways not yet understood. I certainly trust him and his teachings until they are disproved. I also place some belief in the Syrians who spoke through Patricia Corey in the Syrian trilogy. I love that set of books. And coming in, third is the work of Barbara Marciniak, which is still pretty darn good. Now, these are just interesting and not at all important to me at this point, as they once were. I once relied on them quite a bit. I mean, when you're so down, you want to hear the good word, the good message, Now, as this 3D world fades into unimportance, so too must such things as this channeling. And when it comes to Alex Collier, I have simply tabled everything he ever said, just shoved it aside. Don't forget, I could be wrong in my doubt and distrust of him. No one has to be perfect to have a good message, so anything is possible, works both ways. We are nothing, my friends. In some way, we are nothing but emptiness. I get closer and closer to touching this, to realizing it. At this point, I can just report on what I'm seeing, not quite experiencing yet or not doing so fully. I've jumped off a lot of cliffs and tall buildings and found my wings so far, but not all of them, not yet. So be suspicious along with me when it comes to what is yet hidden in the folds of the garment of your being, your aura. Don't get to thinking too highly of the self, my friends. That just makes us nice, tasty pickings for deceptive beings to play with. Let them be the ones covered over in arrogance. There is none of that in heart, where you will find a very reasonable humility that is aware of shortcomings, various flaws, yet uncovered by the conscious mind. You could even say our dark side. The bottom line is that none of us, and no, not one, not even Jesus or Buddha, is better than any of the rest of us. Even Christ said this in his analogy of the vine and the branches. I am the vine, ye are the branches. He too pointed to this total oneness, but those who came after him and other great teachers to create the various religions didn't want us getting the pure message. So they hid it quite well. We had to be made into sinners and unworthy ones to be kept sufficiently down so as not to stumble onto our own native divinity, which Christ actually taught. And Papaji teaches the same thing. The perfection is already there within you. Life and society have so focused us outward that we've cut ourselves off from our being within. Time to go in there, folks. That's all I can say at this point. Go within. You'll find just the same thing that I have, only in your flavor. It will shortly be a day of seeming miracles and amazements. Don't look to others ever as being better than you are. That's a lie that's been planted so long ago that it's hard to trace backward. The whole idea of separation itself is a big, ugly lie. So, of course, it makes sense that they had to take down our DNA to only 2 strands, or they never could have gotten away with such rot as all of this. In our full, radiant being, with access to the full mind, the mind of God, you could say, or the mind of Christ, we would have just laughed at their pathetic tricks. As it was, we were so cut off from our real being that we were relatively easy to distract and direct. This mind that we use today, it is not the real thing or the whole thing. Remember, we have access to less than 10% of it. So please, friends, don't trust the mind. It's the main tool of the programming. Go within.